Hey guys, and what is going on? Okay, I know I'm a little bit late to the party when it comes to talking about Alpenfury, but I was holding off on purpose. When they first announced it, yes, I was excited. Yes, I had my opinions, blah, 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 whatever, but I wanted to hold off until I knew a little bit more, until I could properly process and actually understand what we were getting. Before I get started, I just want to say that this is just my opinion and my opinion alone. It is not to be taken as fact, and I do not have any additional information than what you guys already know and then what the park has made public. Right off the bat, I want to say that this ride looks like a cool concept. Yes, it is a launch coaster. Like I said, Wonderland definitely needs a launch coaster, and I love how it incorporates the mountain, how the launch is inside the mountain, and how you blast out of the mountain. For those of you who know about other amusement parks such as King's Dominion, you'll know that this is very similar to Volcano the Blast Coaster. I was fortunate enough to ride Volcano the Blast Coaster, and I thought it was one of the best rides at King's Dominion, and I especially like the part where you do blast out of the mountain at 90 degrees. So to me, the start of this ride is very similar. Yes, it's not built by Intamin, and yes, you're not inverted, so you are upright on the track, but you're still blasting out of the mountain. But that is where all the similarities to Volcano come to an end with this ride. Once riders board onto the 3-car-long 18-passenger Premier Rocket 2 trains, the train makes a slight right-hand turn out of the station where you're then thrusted into the first launch. This isn't a really forceful launch, it's just a launch to get you over that first bend so you can go into the actual launch inside the mountain. The second main launch inside the mountain will accelerate trains from approximately 40 kilometers an hour to 115 kilometers an hour in 3 seconds, which will then launch you up the 163-foot tall inverted top hat. After that, the train will then traverse through 3,000 feet of track, going through 8 additional inversions, some of them being the first of their kind in the world, giving this coaster 9 inversions, which is the most amount of inversions on any launch roller coaster in North America. All the inversions appear to be in rapid succession, which will only add to the fast-paced nature of this ride. There appears to be no slow points or no points where the train just kind of meanders around. On pen and paper, all of this should make Alpenfury one of the best rides at Canada's Wonderland and one of the best rides that is coming out in 2025. Given all of this, I can see how most people can view this as being one of the best additions to ever come to Canada's Wonderland and a top-tier roller coaster. But I have to be honest with you guys, I have a few issues with this ride. I have a few issues with it coming to Canada's Wonderland, and there's a lot of things that I think could have been improved on. Now, I want to stress this out, that I am not here saying this is a bad ride. Again, I think this looks like a really good ride, and at the end of the day, I do think it is a good fit for Canada's Wonderland. But I think it could have been done a lot better. First off, the elephant in the room, capacity. This ride will have a theoretical capacity of approximately 750 to 800 riders per hour, which may sound like a lot, but keep that in mind, that is approximately the same capacity as Backlot Stunt Coaster when Backlot Stunt Coaster is fully operational. With this ride being a bigger ride compared to most of the mediocre rides at Canada's Wonderland, no pun intended, and the first proper launch roller coaster in Canada, this ride is going to be extremely popular. Do I think it's going to be as popular as Leviathan, Behemoth, and Yukon Striker? Well, yes and no. That's a topic for another video, but what I'm saying is this ride will attract a crowd. Now, you look at a ride like Leviathan, where on any given day, that ride could have an hour plus wait, and that is with a capacity of 1,200 people per hour. So trains are moving on Leviathan. The trains can fit 32 people, so there is a lot of room, and that ride still gets an hour wait. Now, you take a new attraction like Alpenfury, one that no one at Wonderland has ever seen anything like that before, right? Like a launch coaster, the general public, they're going to love that. They're going to want to go to it first. Imagine how long those waits are going to be with just 2 trains at 750 people per hour compared to Leviathan, which can do 12 to 1,300 people per hour. You're going to be looking at an hour 45 to 2 hour wait times minimum. Then you include the fast lane. If they're going to go with a single rider line, you're going to have to include that as well. So there is going to be a very long line when Alpenfury first comes out, and that's something we all need to think about. And I understand having a long line doesn't affect the ride experience, and you're absolutely right. Yes, having a long line does not mean it's a bad ride. In fact, that usually means it's a popular ride. However, in this case, I do not understand why Wonderland didn't go with a third train. Now, I understand that the track is a bit short and the cycle time is 60 seconds, which means that it's going to be a quicker paced ride. So maybe having a third train in the layout layout that Wonderland has chosen would not be practical. However, this is where my other problem comes in. At a park like Wonderland that sees an average of 3.5 to 4 million guests per season, Wonderland should be investing in larger attractions like Leviathan, Behemoth, Yukon Striker, attractions that can process a lot of people. Now, I will say variety is important, and you can't just have a park full of B&Ms because then everything will become redundant and be the same. So in that aspect, I am glad that they went with a different manufacturer. However, and this is not me saying that I think the layout of the ride is bad, because honestly, they pack so much into just 3,000 feet of track. It is incredible, but they should have gone with something a bit bigger, in my opinion. I think the ride should have been a little bit faster. It should have been taller, and I think it should have been between 4,000 and 4,500 feet. That would have allowed for a third train. That would have allowed for better capacity. That would have allowed for even more elements. Now, I'm not saying there aren't enough elements, because at the end of the day, there are 9 inversions, but this is something else. In my opinion, there is only so many times you can go upside down. There's only so many different ways somebody can go upside down. And again, this is not me hating on the ride at all, because I think the inversions look cool. Some of them are very unique, but at the end of the day, going upside down that amount of times is going to feel the same in a sense. If you get what I'm saying, like a 0G roll, a dive loop, an Immelman, they all kind of feel the same. It would have been nice to see some pops of ejector airtime. There's nothing at Wonderland that has good ejector airtime, so I think that is a missed opportunity. It would have been also nice to see some more lateral or side-to-side sweeping motions incorporated on the layout. However, the park went and they decided to go with just inversions, and that's perfectly fine as well. Now, Premier, the manufacturer that they went with, does a really good job of doing smooth transitions in their inversions. It's something they're known for. Their trains, the way that they're designed really well to go around an inversion. They're heart-lined around the track really well. So I do believe that every element, every inversion on this ride will be butter smooth, which is a really good thing. Now, since I'm talking about the trains, I am highly disappointed that Premier is sticking with their same design as the trains found on their Skyrocket 2 models, as the trains found on Wavebreaker. I really wish they would have taken this opportunity to have designed better ride vehicles. Now, I'm not saying that the trains are bad. However, if you're a person of larger size or if you're taller, they may be uncomfortable. Unlike B&M trains, which have ample space in between cars and rows, these trains are a little more compact, which makes sense because they have to navigate the course in a more compact manner. However, they are compact. It kind of feels like riding in a sardine can. Now, I don't know if these are going to be the exact same trains. I've been hearing rumors that, okay, they may be a little bit different. However, with the width of the track and the size of the ride vehicles, I personally don't think there is much you can do differently to this style of train to make it much more comfortable. For those of you who have ridden Backlot Stun Coaster, you will know that those trains feel cramped. The restraints feel cramped, and this is the same manufacturer as that. So just keep that in mind when you go into this attraction. Lastly, my biggest issue with this ride is the speed. Now, again, this is going to be the fastest launch roller coaster in Canada. However, that's not really saying much because I believe there are only 3 others in Canada, and 2 of them are at Wonderland, Backlot Stun Coaster, and Snoopy's Racing Railway. This ride will launch from a rolling launch of about 40 kilometers an hour to 115 kilometers an hour in 3.5 seconds. Now, if you've ridden Maverick at Cedar Point, this launch is going to be very similar to that. In fact, Maverick is actually going to be a little bit more punchier, so you already kind of have that idea of what the launch is going to be like. Now, it is going to be a good launch. However, I think Wonderland really missed the opportunity, and in my opinion, they should have made the launch like 130, 135. They should have made it on par with the speed of Yukon Striker or Behemoth. I think that would have been a lot more fun. I think that would have been a lot more forceful, and with that faster launch, you could have gone with a longer layout. Now, I understand why Wonderland didn't do that, because at the end of the day, these rides are extremely expensive to make, but I feel like it is a missed opportunity, and I think calling it Canada's fastest launch roller coaster is cheating a little bit, because again, there are only 3 other launch roller coasters in Canada, and all 3 of them are family coasters. If this ride was in the United States, for instance, it would still be very impressive, but you wouldn't have that wow factor as, wow, this is the fastest ride in the country, because it frankly wouldn't be. However, it still will be a great launch, and I think it is a great addition to the park. I'm not hating on it. I just think for what it is and the park that Wonderland is and the attendance that Wonderland gets, Alpenfury should have been a little bit bigger. Anyways, you guys are probably sick of hearing my voice and watching the same POVs on repeat, so I'll leave it at this. Do I think Alpenfury will be a fun ride? Yes, I do. Do I think it's a good addition for Wonderland for what we currently have? Yes, I do. However, do I think Wonderland could have done a lot better? Yes, I do. I think if they spent a little bit more money and gone with a bigger layout, this ride really would have been a world-class attraction. And I'm not saying it's not a world-class attraction. I just think it could have been up there with rides like Top Thrill 2, Rapterra, or even Siren's Curse, which, by the way, I still think Top Thrill 2 will be the best new ride in 2025, but that's just my opinion. Anyways, guys, everything in this video is my opinion. There is no fact, so I'm really interested in hearing what you guys think. And as always, don't just take my word for it. When the attraction is built, actually go and experience it for yourselves. I hope you all have a good one, and thank you for watching.